Hi, Angel Moms, and welcome back to another episode of the Angel Moms podcast. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this notion of angel anniversaries. What the heck are they? And how do we handle them? How do we cope with them? How do we manage them? How do we get through them? Well, today, the day that this podcast is being released, is deeply personal because 2 days ago marked my daughter's 9th year in heaven. I can hardly believe it. I know that all of you know what I mean when I say it feels like yesterday and it feels like a lifetime ago, all at the same time. But here we are. And I wanted to share a little bit about my journey. As I said, it's been 9 years I've been on this journey. And what's helped me, how I get through these difficult days, and just some words of wisdom from somebody who's been on this journey for a while. So, first off, I want to talk to you about what I did the first year and what I don't do anymore. That first year for me was an Energizer bunny doing all the things. I'm not even sure why, but that was my coping mechanism. That first year was full on. I created scholarships. I created angel gardens. I had more Katie projects than I can even tell you. But it was that busyness that kept, or so I thought, kept my head above the water most days. So when Katie's angel anniversary started creeping a little bit closer, I immediately knew that I needed another Katie project. So here's what I did. I had a massive gathering in my house. I mean, wall to wall people. I can't even remember how many people. I think it was between 30 and 40, mostly Katie's friends. Now, keeping in mind that we lost Katie at the age of 17, and most of her friends, most of her school friends looked to me for grief guidance. The high school did provide some grief support immediately following Katie's accident, which kudos to them. I've talked to many, many parents who've lost children and have not had a positive experience with the school. In any case, grief counselors were brought in following the days of Katie's accident. But as we all know, whether it's a full day or 3 days, grief doesn't end after that. It's a help, it's a start. And these kids were feeling the same way that I was, as much as they could, in terms that Katie's anniversary was coming up, the anniversary of the death of one of their friends, and they were flailing. So it was really important to me to provide a safe and supportive space where they could come and talk about Katie and talk about their grief and do what they needed to do. So that's what I did. I created this space in my home. I don't want to call it a party. It was not a party. A party is somewhere where you celebrate and you have fun, right? And there's laughing and enjoyment. This event was very solemn, of course, but I tried to add lightness into the event as much as I could. Katie's boyfriend, his family came. Who else was here? Gosh, it was such a blur. My immediate family, but the rest was 17-year-old kids. And it was a ton of work, you guys. I'm not going to lie. I made angel cupcakes. I made on the wall, I took down all the artwork in my kitchen and I put up a how well do you know Katie quiz of all kinds of quirky, silly things, like her favorite food, her favorite thing to make, which by the way was ham and jam sandwiches. Don't knock it till you try it. And all these quirky things. So that was all over my kitchen wall. I also put together a candy bar. Katie had a huge sweet tooth, and this was just a place where kids could come and reminisce about, some of the fun that they had and the different candies and so on and so forth. I had a memory book open. In fact, it was her yearbook, which she never was able to pick up, but I picked up from the school and I had it there and all her friends signed it. Geez, what else did we do? I put together, actually, it was awesome. Awesome. I put together a very detailed slideshow presentation with music. So it was 2 songs, so roughly 6 minutes long. And I don't even know how many photos. And it was from, Katie's birth and right up until her grade 12 year and the time of her passing. And then we toasted Katie, I think, with champagne. I mean, the kids had a sip, but we did that nonetheless. And that was the evening. And while it was beautiful, and I don't regret doing it because I felt that I think the kids, Katie's friends, got just as much out of it as I did. But man, it was exhausting. And I remember as we closed the door behind the last guest, my son, who was 15 at the time, gave me a great big hug. Some of his friends had come too to support him, gave me a big hug and said, "You know what, Mom?" He goes, "I think from now on, December 8th should be a date just for our family." And wise words coming from a 15-year-old. And he was absolutely right. So since then, our Katie anniversaries have been much, much different, which I will get into in a moment. But I just want to start by saying, don't feel that you need to have a house full of people on your kid's angel anniversary. In fact, unless you really, really, really want to do that, I discourage it. It is a ton of work. I was in, let's say, a decent frame of mind that night, but it could very have easily bit me in the butt because what was I to do if I invited all these people over and then all of a sudden had a change of heart or was a complete disaster the whole time? It wouldn't have quite been the same. But there's no right or wrong. Just because that's what I did on Katie's first angel anniversary does not mean that that's what you should do. I think the most important thing to keep in mind is, what do you want? What do you need? What feels right for you? I'm going to say this over and over again today, but I'm going to give you permission right now that if you want to stay in bed and pull the blankets over your head, turn off your phone and cry your eyes out, that is totally okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But today's episode, I really wanted to share with you what has worked and not worked for me, just so you have some ideas. Now, of course, after my son said that this would just be a family day going forward, I have honored that. However, there was one day, and I cannot remember the exact year, where I planned nothing. Nothing. And it felt awful for me. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that has to be taken to heart for everyone, but this is kind of speaks to my personality. I always need a plan. I'm a checklist girl. I like to know what's coming next. Maybe it's a control thing. I'm not sure, but that's the way I roll. So the one year that we chose to do nothing, and I mean nothing, like we didn't leave the house. I think we got takeout. literally sat on the couch all day. And I'm an active person, so even that just doesn't feel comfortable. I felt yucky. I felt like I had let Katie down in some way. And I know that sounds weird, but that's just the way I felt. So, what I have learned is that when I know these hard days are coming up, whether it's birthdays, angel anniversaries, or any other hard days like Christmas and Easter, goodness knows they don't end, right? I always like to make a plan. That is what feels best for me, because then I have some control over a day that otherwise I have no control over. And I always like to highlight Katie in some way. I mean, this is a Katie day. Yes, it's the day she passed away. Yes, it's the day she got her angel wings, but it's still a Katie day. Now, when I say make a plan, we're not talking about having 30 to 40 people over in your house. But I mean, the littlest thing can be a plan. Let me share with you what I do now. So we have kind of fallen into kind of a routine of sorts. And we talk about it about a week or two ahead of time with my husband and my son. I like to get everybody's input. This isn't just about me. This is about our family and what our family needs. But typically, we'll all throw our ideas out there and then we will kind of pull them all together. Typically, a day looks something like this. My husband and I always take the day off of work. I have learned the hard way, doing different things. And this is just what feels right for me. No work, no appointments, no any kind of obligations. The focus is my family and on Katie. But we'll typically get up. My husband will do a Starbucks run. Katie loved her Starbucks, especially with whipped cream and sprinkles. So we'll get some kind of frou-frou, high fat, high calorie coffee with the sprinkles and the whipped cream and all the things. That's how our day starts. And then usually I will make some kind of breakfast like pancakes or waffles smeared with Nutella because that's what she liked. And then we will sit and reminisce for a bit. Sometimes we'll go for a walk. All of us really enjoy being out in nature. So, weather depending, we might find a forested trail nearby or hike by a stream. We'll spend time doing that. And then we'll do something that I don't love, but Katie did: shopping. Now, keep in mind, this is a super abbreviated shopping trip because on a good day, I don't like shopping. And on an angel anniversary, it does take a lot of my energy to walk into a mall. But Katie loves shopping. But what we'll do, since it's close to Christmas, right? December 8th is her anniversary. But we will have a plan. We'll zip into the mall and we'll pick up a gift for someone. Sometimes it's someone we've never met. Typically, it hasn't been every year, but typically we will pick up pajamas that would have been Katie's size and Katie's taste, usually, plaid bottoms and some kind of long sleeve t-shirt kind of top PJs. And we'll donate them. We'll donate them to the local hospital. We'll donate them to some kind of cause around families and teens and just people in need. In the past, however, people have crossed my path that I've just wanted to help out. My tattoo artist shared with me that he, going back to school and getting textbooks and all of this kind of thing is a bit of a stretch for him. So I went to the university bookstore and I bought a $200 gift card. Now, keep in mind, we don't have to do anything that expensive. I happen to have that money and I really wanted to help this fellow out. And as it turns out, when he opened the card, he said, "You're kidding." He goes, "This is the exact amount of my textbook bill for next semester. So I knew that I had found the right person. And typically, I just let the universe send the right person to me. So that's what we do now. I also have to add an important thing. I will either make dinner. Typically, we'll have takeout, some kind of food that Katie loved. Her favorite was pasta primavera. And then I will usually make or order in some kind of dessert. She loved gourmet donuts. Anything where the first ingredient was sugar, that was Katie's favorite. And if our bellies aren't too sore by then, we will pop some popcorn and we will watch Home Alone, Katie's all-time favorite Christmas movie. And of course, December 8th, that's when those movies are typically out. And Elf, I think those are her two favorites. So that's what our day looks like now. But here's some tips. If you're scratching your head thinking, okay, well, I don't want to do a great big thing and I don't know where to start, here's a question I want you to ask yourself. What do I need? This is an important thing because this is going to help you figure out all the other things. So, do you need to be busy like me? Or do you need quiet? Do you need to be alone? Do you need to stay in bed with the blankets over your head, your phone off, and a box of tissues? There's no right or wrong here, but just think, what do I need on that day? Okay, so that's step one. Step two is, what can you plan around your needs? Because if your needs are to stay in bed, box of Kleenex, you might want to plan ahead. You might want to communicate to your spouse that you're not leaving the bedroom, that you will need him to order in a pizza so that everyone can be fed, and you want to be left alone. There you go. There's a plan. But if your plan is perhaps maybe on the other end of the spectrum, which is keep busy, I've given you lots of ideas about what we do, but here's a simplified version of that. Get your immediate family together. So in my case, it was my husband and son, and brain dump all your ideas. What were your child's favorite foods? What were their favorite movies, their favorite shows? Where did they like to go? Is there a place you want to volunteer this year? Like, just dump it out. Don't judge it. Don't think, oh, that takes too much energy or that might not work. Dump it out. And then over the next week or so, go through it bit by bit. What do you feel like you want to do? Maybe there's just one thing on that list that you want to do. Maybe you want to buy a brand new candle, a brand new picture frame, put in a picture of your child, maybe that you don't have out right now. And that's your day, but you've made a plan. Now, I do want to mention that I created a special free download just on angel anniversary ideas. Okay. So that outlines 15 ideas to get you started. So you can get that. The link should be below in the description here, but it is www.griefsupportformoms.com/ideas. griefsupportformoms.com/ideas. And start thinking about what you want to do. Now, another tip I'm going to give you is build flexibility into your plan. If there's anything that we know as grieving mothers, it's that some days don't go according to plan. The day might get here and you might think, oh, I just don't have the energy for this. Or you might think, oh, I wish I'd planned more. So if you have that list, that brain dump, you can add more things to it, or you can make it more simplified. And the last thing I'm going to suggest is you communicate your needs to your friends and family. Here's what I have learned. Doesn't matter where you're at on your grief journey, our friends and family are walking on eggshells around us. They truly don't know what to say or do. So they typically say or do nothing until they're prompted to do something. But if we say, okay, friend, okay, brother, okay, parents, here's what we're going to do. And here's what I say to people now. We're going to have a quiet day, just the three of us. If you want to do something, it would be lovely if you put a post of Katie up on Facebook and let people know that it's her angel anniversary. Now, here's a bit of tough love. And I wish I didn't have to share this, but people will never forget our child. They will never forget that they died. But what they might forget is the exact date. People are busy, just like we once were. And our child's angel anniversary might come up and they may have forgotten that it's that day. But when somebody puts a social media post up, they remember, they'll reach out, they will probably post photos, et cetera, et cetera. So please, please, please don't sit back and wait for other people to do something for you. There might be some people that will remember. There very well could be, but I don't want you to be disappointed. I have always taken the reins and done the posting myself. I'll create a video and put it up on Facebook, something, because I don't want to be angry with people. I don't want to be disappointed in people. So I put the lead out there and I do the communicating. The less we communicate with people, the more disappointed we're going to be. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, because at this point you might be totally overwhelmed thinking, oh my gosh, she's talked about this great big gathering. She's talked about, going shopping and making food and planning. And you might be just totally overwhelmed. Again, I'm giving you permission to do nothing if that's what feels right for you. I just want you to know that making a plan, whatever that looks like, may actually help you. So if you want to do nothing, make a plan to do nothing. Tell the people that you're doing nothing. Okay. Now, if you haven't already, I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, because next week I'm going to be talking about how we can find peace during this crazy time of the year when there's holidays and Christmas songs and Christmas everything in our faces. I find Christmas really hard. So I'm going to be talking about finding peace during this crazy time of the year. So make sure and subscribe so that you get notifications that there is a new video up. And also check out the audio only podcast, the Angel Moms podcast. You can listen to that on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. But I did create this channel in case you prefer to watch a talking head. All right. That's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you're not in this alone. I'm walking right beside you. Take care, Angel Mom.